welcome to the very first live Zoom Carey Youth. This is incredible. Never imagined we would do a youth like this. It's pretty exciting. Great thing to try for the first time ever.
Super cool.
Yeah. Weird thing about this too, some people may or may not know, there are two Careys.
What?
Carey Forestdale and Carey Parisdale.
What?
Which means there's also two Carey Youths. And I'm Ben, I'm the youth pastor at Carey Youth Harrisdale.
Hey, Ben.
Hey, how you going?
Good.
You want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Shelby, and I am the next gen pastor at Carey Forestdale.
Absolutely. And in case anyone else doesn't understand this, we are not breaking social distancing rules. We are married, which is kind of cool. But yes, Caitlin, we have combined both youth groups tonight. It's going to be good, which is a fun thing to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Should we just get straight into things?
Let's do it. I'm keen.
So when we normally do youth, we normally get together, play games, eat some food, hear messages, do some breakout groups. We're going to try and do all of that tonight in under 40 minutes.
Whoa.
Because we have the free version of Zoom, and 40 minutes is our limit. Yeah. In case anyone's wondering, we are recording this both so that people later can check out what happened here, but also to protect ourselves for Safe Church. That's part of one of our regulations, but that's all cool. So we're going to start with, if you were on Instagram this week, you would have seen that we had a selfie competition, and our selfie competition was about taking a photo with your pet. Shelby, do you know these people before I let them in?
Yep, both.
Yeah, cool. We're just filtering people as they come in.
Hey, Ellie. Welcome.
Good to see you guys. Welcome to you guys who just joined. But if you saw this post on Instagram, we were asking you for your best pet selfie. And normally we were giving out prizes, but unfortunately, most of us are not at school anymore. And Shelby and I, we've been banished to work at home, so we can't bring prizes to people. So we're going to do something different. While we are all in lockdown, we are running a leaderboard in our competitions. So what does that mean, Shelby?
It means that we are going to be scoring points. So everything that we do, any of the Instagram competitions we're doing, any of the games we're doing tonight, basically we are going to be collecting points and we're going to be tallying them up on the leaderboard.
Excellent. So tonight for the pet selfie thing, everyone who sends in a pet selfie, you're going to get 1 point on our leaderboard. I've got a couple of honourable mentions. You'll get 2 points, and then Shelby's favourite is going to get 3 points.
It's both of our
favourites. Okay, it's both
favourites.
of our favourites. Georgia, thank you for pointing that out to me. I didn't see that one. Welcome, Georgia.
Hey, Georgia.
But yes, Georgia with a J. We have 2 Georgias. Cool. So shall we get into it and just see how those selfies went, Shelves?
Sounds great. Okay. So I'm trying to remember what comes next. Basically, it's all of the participants, right?
Yeah. So there's a picture coming up first. This one was from Rachel with her little pup.
So cute.
Yeah,
guys, did you see that? Did you guys see that on Instagram? So cute.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, there's Rachel. She's smart. That's great.
Yeah.
Cool. Hey, if you missed all these, you can follow us on Instagram, either Carey.youth or CareyYouthFD. Both of those we are managing. Let's check another picture out.
Oh,
There's Caitlin.
So cute.
Picture of Caitlin with her puppy.
Caitlin gets the point for participating.
Yes, well done, Caitlin. Next picture. Oh, this one is Arwen, I think.
Arwen, yeah, that's Arwen with a cat.
Nice for
So
Arwen.
cute.
Cool. And then I think we got some honourable mentions after that.
So we got 2 honourable mentions. So these next 2 are going to get 2 points on the leaderboard. Are we ready?
All right, so this one is Emily, and she actually went and got a pet rock. We did say that pet rocks are acceptable. She actually went into her garden and made a pet rock.
Because we don't discriminate, guys. Pet rocks are really
This
cute.
is a rock if you can't see it, and she named it Dwayne Johnson. That just blew my mind. That was incredible.
So good. Too good for that one. Next honourable mention also gets 2 points is Sophie. Oh my gosh, I don't think Sophie's joined us yet. No, hey Sophie. Sophie's here. Oh my gosh, 2 points for you, Sophie, because this picture of her with her horse is just, I'm down for it. It's so cute. Well done.
When that came through, Shelby was like,
Just like, so cute. Awesome.
and Austin, yes, like I said before, we are not standing 1.5 metres apart because we are married. Well, actually, it's about a metre.
We're pretty good, actually.
Yeah, all good. Cool. And then our winner, the one that we love the most.
Winner is both of us consensus. There was like no conflict on this one, guys. We were both like straight away like, bam, amazing. Can we get a drum roll, Ben? Hey, how good is this? Piper and her pet goat.
Nice.
Pet goat.
Pet goat.
She didn't even need a selfie, to be honest, because she has a pet goat. She wins straight away. That's awesome. So anyways, so 3 points to Piper.
Piper says it's a sheep.
Sheep! Oh my gosh. Okay, I probably need to learn my animals. But come on, that is so gorgeous. Although I just said it's pretty like zoomed in. So that could have been a goat.
So Shields, I think we do have the leaderboard up for the next slide. This is our leaderboard. Not sure if you can read that with all the fuzziness, but we'll pop that up on Instagram so you can see and follow that. We've got a whiteboard we're going to write them all up on. Cool, nice. Thanks, Noah. Thanks that you can read it. These are all the Instagram names. If you want to stalk them, let's probably hide that now so people don't stalk it. But yes. Cool. Hey, we are now going to actually play a game you can participate in right now.
Everyone, I want you participating. Every one of you. Every single one.
Shelby has spoken.
I have spoken. Okay, this is so good. I'm going to participate, you guys. Awesome. All right, but I don't get points because I kind of would win. Anyway.
So, Shelby, throw us the next slide. This game is called the Home Scavenger Hunt. We are going to give you an item one at a time, and we want you to go and find that in your house and bring it. And the first person we see holding that item up on the screen will get a point, and they'll go on the leaderboard. So basically, I can see Luke's getting ready. Luke is jumping up out of his chair. I love that, Luke. That is fantastic. Oh, everyone's turning on their video now because they want to be doing this. This is great. If you went away, there's a bunch of people without their videos on, but this is cool. Okay, so first thing we want you to go find and then bring back to us is...
Well, before we do that, just make sure when you do bring the item back, put it in front of the camera super quick, because if we can't see it, you don't get the point, all right? So we know what we're doing. First item is... Toilet roll! Go, 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 go!
We should have cut background music. So many coming back. So I think that was a tie between Liam and Naomi. I reckon.
Close, but not quite.
Yeah, so we'll just give that to Liam and Naomi.
Good job, 5 point each. Well done, well done. Oh, you see everyone's like flush faces going.
Well, if I look like we're looking down, it's because our screen is actually below our camera, guys. Second thing we're going to find.
What is
What is food? Suddenly mums and dads are going, why is there like kids just running and getting around and stuff out of my drawer? I see Nikki's, I see Jacob's, I see Joshua's, I see Leah's, I see Vin Misso's. Did you see which one was first? Caitlin's is there.
I saw Nikki's first.
Did you?
Yes.
I think I also saw Nikki's on there too. Let's give Mitchell and Nikki.
Mitchell and Nikki! Well done, guys. Point each.
Cool. All right, this is actually harder than I thought it was. To actually
track.
So many trays to watch. All right. Last one.
All right, this is the last opportunity you guys to get a point tonight. So you better run quick. You ready? And toothbrush. Go, 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 go. Toothbrush.
All right, let's actually watch carefully this time. Let's stop singing music. And
Austin, you ain't running. We see you, man.
Jacob was his first.
Nikki. Oh.
And then Sophie.
Hey, Bo. Good job, Bo.
Yes. Nice work. So we gave it to Jacob and Sophie. Nice. We will update that leaderboard and have that ready in the coming days.
Good job, guys.
Well done, guys. Now that you've got all that stuff, you just have to keep it on your desk.
You know, get a little boy, you start brushing your teeth.
Yep, that was Micah's toothbrush. As you can tell, we haven't even used it yet, and he's what, 20 months old?
He has another toothbrush. Come on, we're not. Aaron.
All good. Hey, that was great. That's the fun bits. Hey, normally we then would go up to games, eat our dinner. So is anyone for dinner? Let's just all watch me eat for the next 10 minutes.
We're going to eat together.
No, it's okay. We're kidding. We're not going to make you watch us eat. What we are going to do, George is sad now that we're not eating potato chips.
Imagine if we could actually like send you guys potato chips like
that would
right
be
now.
Incredible.
Click fingers and potato chips in front of you. That'd be awesome.
Hey, we are going to move into a part where Georgia is actually going to bring us a message. Austin had nachos. Caitlin had nachos. Someone had nachos. Chat's moving too fast for me. But we're going to transfer to Georgia. We're going to unmute her and let her take over. Georgia's going to bring us, we've been going through the message of us for them for the last few weeks. And us for them is a series that's been talking to us about how God is not just for us, but he wants us to also be for the people around us. And that's a pretty cool concept. And Georgia is going to bring us into that, Georgia, should we just unmute you now so you can start taking things away from us?
Hi guys, I'm Georgia, and I am the youth coordinator at Harrisdale, and I'm just going to talk about God for a couple of minutes. But before I do, I'm going to pray, because that's a good thing to do. So let's do that. God, thank you that you're here. God, thank you that we just pray that you speak in this chat and use whatever I have to say to speak into our hearts. Amen. So a couple of years ago, who's ever been to Universal Studios? Luke. So a couple of years ago, I went with my brother and it was raining, which was amazing because it meant there was absolutely no one around. So there were no lines. Like literally we went on every ride probably 50 times. And there was this one ride that I really liked, and it was like a roller coaster, but there were a whole lot of screens. So you would like go through the story whilst you were moving. It was kind of awesome. And we were going on it for maybe the fifth time. And so we're walking through all the lines, and we get to the top, and we're sitting on this roller coaster that lasted for about a minute and a half. And we get about a minute into it, and we're sideways, and everything stops. Like, I mean, all the screens turn off, the halogen lights turn on, the whole roller coaster has just stopped, and we're literally sideways, like, hey, what's going on? And then this voice comes over and he says, just a bit of technical difficulties, just give us a moment. So we're like, okay, cool, we can wait. A little bit of technical difficulties, that's fine. And then we continue waiting, and we continue waiting, and 2.5 hours go by with us sideways in this like ride. My brother is totally freaking out because both of us are a little bit dramatic, and he's screaming at this point like, just let me die. He's having a whole moment. And eventually the ride starts up again. We do the last 30 seconds of this ride and we get off, and then we go and do it again. But I have to be honest with you, that waiting time was the most painful moment I had that year. It was like the worst. Who hates waiting for things? Like, who's one of those people that's like, put your hand up if you're one of those people that's like, just give it to me now. Yeah. Who actually doesn't mind waiting? It's like one, but Jacob, you're awesome. I wish I was like that. I am terrible at waiting for things. And over the last couple of weeks, like Ben said, we've been looking at this thing, Us for Them. And we've been looking at the fact that God set this plan in motion, and it was a plan to change the world. But this plan actually took 1,000 years. Like, I couldn't wait 2.5 hours, let alone 1,000 years for anything to come to fruition, right? And this plan kind of started in Genesis. And in Genesis, which is the first book of the Bible, God kind of starts sowing the seed of this plan and starts talking about how someday all evil is going to be destroyed. And he continues this with Abraham. So a couple of weeks ago, we talked about Abraham, and God gave Abraham these promises. One of those promises was that his descendants would be a great nation, that there would be more of them than there are stars in the sky. One of the other promises that God gave Abraham was that his descendants will be blessed, and through them God will bless the rest of the world. These were some of the promises that God gave to Abraham and his descendants. And God had this plan, and this plan revolved around being a blessing. And this was completely revolutionary. This was such a different concept to what the people of those time had ever experienced. Let me give you an example of how different things were back then. Everyone except for those that were in your family were considered an enemy. Everybody give me a wave. Give me like a hi. Hey. So this motion actually comes from a similar time to what we find in the Old Testament. And it was actually a way of showing people not to mess with you. So if you had someone who backed you up, Say, for instance, you had a family member who you guys said, I'm going to back you up no matter what. If you go into war, I'm going into war with you. What you would both do is you would give yourself a cut on your hand, you put some stuff in it so that you get this really gnarly scar, and both of your scars would match. So when you said hi, you were literally showing people a scar that said, don't mess with me, somebody else is backing me up, there are people for me, stop. Like that was literally the mindset of this like society, right? And God in the middle of that said, I've got a plan, and that plan is completely counter-cultural to this, which is kind of really cool. So we fast forward a little bit, and Abraham and Sarah get old, and they haven't had kids yet. And this promise of God actually making their descendants just this massive nation seem like it's completely been stopped. Like they've been in that waiting spot for a really long time. And they're standing in this precipice of thinking, okay, do we take stuff into our own hands, or do we actually trust in God? And they end up taking matters into their own hands. And Abraham fathers a son to another woman. And this wasn't the plan that God had, but God still blessed this boy and his mum. And later on, Sarah actually does get pregnant, and she does have a baby, and that baby was Isaac. And the story continues, and it seems like this plan that God had is still on track, which is kind of very cool. Fast forward, and Isaac has had family, who's had family, who's had family, who's had family, and the descendants of Abraham are now called the Israelites. They are the nation of the Israelites, right? And the Israelites are in slavery. They are in Egypt, and they are slaves. Things are not going so well. This plan that God had is just so completely stopped. They feel like they're in this waiting space, right? And God has a plan to save them, and that plan revolves around Moses, a whole lot of plagues, and this concept of sacrifice. If you want to know more about that story, I suggest jump onto our church on a Sunday morning. We do live services. Ben's preaching this week, and we're continuing this theme that looks at Exodus, that looks at this story. And it's a really good message this week. Just finished editing it, so I know it's good. So you guys should totally check that out on Sunday. So God had this plan, and this plan was about sacrifice. And he asked the Israelites to sacrifice a lamb and to take the blood, which is kind of gory and disgusting, and to put it on the front of their houses so that they could be saved. And this concept of sacrifice gets talked about a lot throughout the Bible. And it seems almost like it gets pushed a bit, like we're talking about sacrifice and sacrifice and sacrifice. But this was a concept that God wanted us, and he wanted the Israelites to get. He wanted them to understand that we can say a lot of things, but it's different when we put action to it. And one of the biggest ways that we can show that we are loved, or show that we love someone, is to sacrifice something for them. We don't do that for somebody who we don't love. So fast forward a little bit further, and the Israelites are again in oppression. Things are not going good again. And God starts to speak in the middle of this oppression, in the middle of this moment where the Israelites feel alone, where they feel like God has left them, where they feel like they've been waiting for so long and they just can't wait anymore. God starts speaking into that moment, and he uses Isaiah, who was this prophet, to speak into it. And so what we're going to do right now is I want to read just this little bit of Isaiah, which is Isaiah 53. Pull it up. I'm going to put it in the chat right now so that we can have a look at it together. And I'm just going to read it, because this is God speaking to these people who are just very alone. Let me put that in here. So I'm going to start reading that while you get it up in front of you. I'm going to be reading from the New International Version, just in case you wanted to know. So this is Isaiah 53. Who has believed our message, and to whom has the arm of the Lord been revealed? He grew up before him like a tender shoot and like a root out of dry ground. He has no beauty or majesty to attract us to him, nothing in his appearance that we should desire him. He was despised and rejected by mankind, a man of suffering and familiar with pain. Like one from whom people hide their faces, he was despised, and we held him in low esteem. Surely he took up our pain and bore our suffering. Yet we considered him punished by God, stricken by him, and afflicted. But he was pierced for our transgressions, he was crushed for our iniquities. The punishment that brought us peace was on him, and by his wounds we are healed. We all, like sheep, have gone astray. Each of us has turned to our own way, and the Lord has laid on him the iniquity of us all. He was oppressed and afflicted, yet he did not open his mouth. He was led like a lamb to the slaughter, and as a sheep before its shearers is silent, so he did not open his mouth. By oppression and judgment he was taken away. Yet who of his generation protested? For he was cut off from the land of the living. For the transgression of my people he was punished. He was assigned a grave with the wicked, and with the rich in his death. Though he had done no violence, nor was any deceit in his mouth, yet it was the Lord's will to crush him and cause him to suffer. And though the Lord makes his life an offering for sin, he will see his offspring and prolong his days. And the will of the Lord will prosper in his land after he has suffered. He will see the light of life and be satisfied. For his knowledge, by his knowledge, my righteous servant will justify many, and he will bear their iniquities. Therefore, I will give him a portion among the great, and he will divide the spoils with the strong, because he poured out his life unto death and was numbered with the transgressors. For he bore the sin of many and made intercession for the transgressors. So what does that mean? That's like a whole lot of words. What is that talking about? God, through this prophecy, is talking about his final step in his plan. And he's talking about Jesus. You see, Jesus is God intervening in history. And Jesus lived this life that was perfect. And then he was sacrificed. Next week is Easter. And this is this moment where we get to celebrate all that God has done for us. But on Good Friday, we talk about Jesus dying. And he died in this terrible way. And he died holding all of our sins and all of our stuff. And he did this as a sacrifice for us. Then 3 days later, he was risen again, and he goes to his disciples, and they see the scars in his side and the wounds in his hand. And I read that bit of scripture, and I always ask myself, I wonder if they saw those scars in his hand and they thought back to those tribes, those people that they knew that had scars like that. Scars that said that they weren't alone. Scars that said that someone was for them. You see, God is for us. And Jesus is that perfect example that he will never leave us. I want you to know right now that what God is saying right now is that he is for you. He is so for you that he would die for you. When Jesus was on that cross, he was looking through time and history, and he was looking at you. And he saw you. He saw that part of you that you don't even want to show anybody else. He saw all of it, and he said, I love that. I love you so much. I am so for you that I will sacrifice everything that I am for you. God is saying, I'll be for you even if you're not for me. Even if you have doubts, even if you don't think I'm real, I'm still for you. And God is saying that I've been for you since before you were born. I am for you right now, and I will be for you for the rest of eternity. I just want you to know tonight that no matter where you are, no matter what's going on, no matter if you've got a cat who's meowing at your legs like I do, God's never going to leave you, no matter how you feel. And Jesus' sacrifice is the perfect example of his love. The fact that he is for you. And he will always be for you. That's all I've got to say tonight. So I'm going to just pray. And then I'll kick back over to the other two. So let's just pray. God, thank you that you are for us. Thank you that you see us, that you know every single part of us, and you love every single part of us. God, help us that to be a truth that is branded on our heart, that you are for us forever. We love you, and help us to see more of you in our world this week. Amen. I'm going to go get my cat. Yeah.
There's me. Can you all hear us
Yeah.
again?
Hey,
Yes.
we overcame technical issues. Woohoo! Love that.
Thanks for that message, Georgia.
Thanks, Georgia. That's awesome.
That was incredible. The fact that what Jesus did proves that God is for us. That is fantastic. Hey, it's great that the cat's there. I'm glad. I actually thought it was my cat. When I say my cat, there's two neighborhood cats that come to our backyard.
He actually got up and checked the door, going, "Where's the cat?" I'm like, "Dude, it's Georgia's cat."
Sorry, guys.
This we're going to break out into some breakout groups, which means you're going to magically end up in a room with one of our leaders, surprise leaders, and a bunch of people. I've tried to line you up with your normal leaders, so all you Forestdale people get Shelby, Jeannie's girls should get Jeannie, all the boys from Harrisdale, you'll probably end up with Bo, and there's another group, Georgia, you've got, I think, the Year 7 girls. If I've completely messed up which group you're in, my bad.
Just go with
just
it.
roll it for now and then let me know and we'll fix it later.
Thanks,
But, you'll get 10 minutes in these groups and we'll just see how that goes for now. If we need longer next week, we'll make it longer. That's cool. But let's break out of those rooms now. Ready? Go.
Let's go.
All right, everyone's coming back.
Everyone's
coming back. Sorry if that was like not enough time, guys. We just guessed 10 minutes and I was eavesdropping on the Forestdale group. I think that one could have gone a bit longer. So maybe next time we'll do a bit longer time. But hey, it was great to have a chat though, right?
Totally. And it's good to just try it. This is new, hey. Tonight is completely trial. So thank you for coming in and trying it with us. We just kind of want to go, hey, this is new. We've never done Carey Youth online before. So what can this look like? Trying to figure it out. So thanks, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. So thanks for coming and joining us. That has been absolutely amazing that we could do this. I had heaps of fun. And the fact we had 26 people coming, that was amazing.
28.
28 was 2 of them and me.
Hey, we got 2 Bens. Oh,
that's great.
Nice.
Awesome. Hey, for the people asking, is this happening every Friday, every fortnight? We will keep you posted on that. Seeing as next Friday is Good Friday, we'll still make a decision whether this is going to happen then. But in the meantime, keep connected with our stuff. I put that lovely on the screen for us. 2 Instagrams and a website. The website gives you a link to our YouTube because the YouTube channel link is just really long. So if you go to our website, careyyouth.com, there is a link to our YouTube channel right there as well. Last question. We do this at Youth on Sundays. We normally do it at the start. I'm going to do it at the end right now just to be different. We do a thing called Spuds Up. How has your week been? Rate it from 1 to 10. And when I say go, hold up a number. So like if you thought your week was an 8, just hold up an 8. So ready on 1, 2, 3.
How do I do a half?
I don't know. There's a good range there. There's some 7s, some 3s. There's a 1. There's okay. That's good to know. That's just good to get a good snapshot of where everyone is at. So thank you for doing that, guys. This lets us have a quick idea of where people are feeling. All good. Hey, man, you feel lonely? That is cool. Hey, look, not cool that you're lonely, but cool that we are knowing about it, so we can actually just do more of these chats and things, because this is a good thing.
Yeah. Hey, also, check in with these tags on Monday. I'm not giving nothing away, but we have something real cool coming Monday, so stay tuned. Like something real cool.
Another
like
competition.
like pet selfies are pretty cool, but it's gonna be real cool. So keep an eye out on Monday for that.
Yep. And during the week next week, we will advertise when the next one of these will happen.
Yeah, for sure.
Which would be cool. Hey, last thing to say, if you do need to chat with someone, if you are getting really lonely, you're feeling overwhelmed with everything that's going on, with like, oh my goodness, I have to do school at home, this is just crazy. I know for us, it's been a crazy week just trying to get used to the idea of working from home with our kid here as well. If that's you and you're getting into that space, we are more than happy to chat with you. We can organize a Zoom meeting like this, or do it by text or something. We will have more than one person in the chat, because that's part of Safe Church. But if you want to get in contact with us, we're more than happy to have a chat, because we don't want you guys to feel lonely.
And we love hearing from you guys.
Yeah.
Brightens our day.
Absolutely, because we're stuck at home with just us.
I know. I don't want to talk to him. I want to talk to you.
Maybe we'll talk to somebody.
Okay.
Anyway, cool. It's been great doing this with you guys. Love you all.